Hi guys, welcome to AKA Love Talk. I am Waikita and today's topic is spiritual awareness, aka spiritual awakening. It's not going to be let's talk about it today. It's going to be more like a story time and just describing the situations in my life that made me aware that I'm more spiritual and I was called and just the spiritual awakening. I wanted this video to be very pure, so today I did not wear any makeup. This is my natural, guys. This is my natural face. I got a little lip gloss on, but this is definitely as natural as it's gonna get. Anywho, let's get into the video. I looked up the definition of spiritual awareness and spiritual awakening, and they're like the same thing. So I'm just gonna read off what the definition is. Spiritual awakeness or spiritual awareness is the process by which we begin to explore our own being in order to become whole. Reunited our spirits without physical body in a of a purpose, a commonly purpose. So, um, I'm gonna go a little bit in depth. I don't want to offend anyone in the process, so I'm not gonna name names, and I'm gonna try my hardest not to um, make it like a negative way. It's kind of hard to do that because it was a negative situation that caused me to realize how you know how I became awakening of I was in the spirit realm. So I'm just gonna get into the video. Hopefully no one gets offended. It's gonna be a few things. It's just a point to make. Hopefully no one gets offended. Okay. But anyway, just giving you a history of me. I am a sibling of three, so it's me, my brother, and my sister. Um, Shortly after my brother was born, my parents became married, so I was in a household with a married couple for just a few years, and then they separated. So I'm gonna go back to the portion I remember while living with my parents, with both of my parents in the same household. I'm gonna go back to that, and then I'm gonna go further on situations that made me aware after the separation. I'm gonna go back to when I was like 3, and in my memory, there was a certain situation that occurred that caused one of my parents to be ill, and the other parent went to work, so you know they couldn't really help the situation because again bills have to be paid. So at this time, as a kid, I did not realize what was going on. And this particular day and time, I believe it was a Sunday, and my parents did go to church. So I guess they noticed that my parents weren't coming to church and decided to come over, and see what was going on. Again, one of my parents was sick and was laying on the bed on the couch. I mean, not in the bed, but on the couch. So at the time, again, I did not realize what was going on until this one individual from the church that we were going to came, and as they came up, the way our house was made, there were long stairs, and then there's the door, and there's the living room, and then the dining room is on the side in the kitchen, and then there's a hallway in between the dining room and the kitchen, and it goes to the bedroom. So when this individual approached, they stopped at the door and they stared at one of my parents. And I think I was planning, I was just playing, like, being a kid playing, but something caught my attention. And I looked at the individual face, and I'm just like, what's wrong? What is wrong? And the person that was at the door, or this individual, wanted to break down in tears from what they were looking at when they were looking at my other parent. And it just caught my attention. So I looked at my parent, and I seen at that moment what the individual seen. And at that moment, it broke my heart. But then it switched, and I started being a kid again, where I just started playing, because I believed that God really didn't want me to have the whole feeling of the situation, because I was too young to handle it. So that was like kind of a situation that made me believe, at the age that I am now, that I was always called. Um, I have a really, really good thing of discernment. I be staring at people, and I don't intentionally stare at them on purpose. But when I stare at an individual, I read them really, really good. And then sometimes God be talking to me about them, and I'm just like, oh, Lord, I can't just be staring at them like that. They're going to think I'm weird, or I'm trying to do something to them. So I try not to stare away. But sometimes God has me to look and just, know what to pray for at that moment. So, but anywho, so that was one incident that kind of made me aware of, I was kind of different. So to go on to the separation, after the separation, the way that one of my parents explained to us the separation is by saying we were going on vacation. So I am the type of child that is very, what we would call, extra. Okay. And so I'm just that extra child, and I'm like, yes, we're going on vacation. I don't know if we ever went on vacation, but I'm so glad we're going on vacation. You know what I mean? So I'm getting our stuff. We packed our stuff. She like, get your best stuff now. So getting all our best stuff, put it in the bag. One of our family members come and, take us where we need to go. So on the way in the car to our vacation, me and my siblings are discussing what we're going to do when we get there. But in the midst of it, I was reading my older sibling's face, like, as if she kind of already knew we wasn't going on vacation. I was just like, the one that was just like on high about it. But everybody else wasn't. But we still were discussing it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so, excited. We drive and we get to the destination. We get in the driveway and we're in front of a house. And again, I'm the one that tries to get to the bottom of things, because if I can't understand it, I need some clarity, okay? So I asked my mom, I said, Mom, why are we at a house? I thought we were going on vacation. So I was ignored at that moment. And then I was asked, did I want to go and get something to eat? And I said, okay. So after leaving, after some months, we left from over a family member's house, and we got our own place. After we got our own place, my parent did what she was supposed to do and enrolled us in school. or whatever. So I ended up going to preschool. Go to preschool, everything was fine. Loved the school. It was kind of, it was a good school. So go to the school. Recess. We have recess, and this particular time we were playing with an object. Now, if you guys know what I'm talking about, please comment down below what it's called, because I do not know. But it's like a circle. It's not a blanket, but it's something like that. And you got handles around, and they got different colors. And you put your hands on um, the handles, and you lift it up, and you pull it down, and you lift it up, and you pull it down. And so we were doing that at recess, and I just felt this breeze, and I'm like, "Ooh, what is that?" And it felt so good. So as the thing was going up and going down, I kept feeling the breeze, but it wasn't a normal breeze. It was like a breeze that was touching my soul. So I'm like, "Oh, what is this feeling?" But I like it. You know what I mean? And so after a while, I closed my eyes, and I just kept pulling down. I didn't even realize that we were finished. My teacher actually had to tell me, like, yes, all right, that's enough, guys. Let's go in. So that's what we did. But to elaborate on that, it was just so funny how no one felt that. And mind you, it was hot outside. There was no wind. So it's like, why was I feeling that? You know what I mean? I was getting more and more aware of how different I was, and that's what my mind setting was. I was different because it was things that was happening. So after that, I entered school. I am, entering into school, and this particular time there was a young lady who wanted to fight me. And so I'm not a fighter, and I'm just like, I love everybody. So what is the problem? And so she's like, I want to fight you. And I'm like stuck, and I'm like, okay. I didn't know what to say. And so, it was everybody around, and I was told in my lifetime, like, don't let nobody punk you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody run over you and stuff like that. You know, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I tried to come back with a comeback, and I said, next thing I know, I said, Jesus gonna get you because you was trying to fight me, and that's what was my response. And like everybody just stopped and looked at me like, what? And I'm just like, oh, why did I even say that? You know what I mean? And so I kind of was, I'm not going to lie, I was embarrassed because I'm like, did I say something wrong? As a young kid, you don't really understand. Like, I didn't really understand what I said, but it just made sense at the time. And that was the only thing that came out. So it was, that situation was like, okay, so why did I even say that? And then I learned later on in years that what's in you going to come out. It's just, if it just come out, it just come out because that's what's in you. So I'm like, okay, it's something strange about me, but all right, I'm just gonna flow with it. And so after a while, I started, another grade, and this particular time, I was on the bus, and I was doing my homework, and a young lady came up to me, and she was like, hey, if you ever need me to assist you with your homework, here's my number. You can call me. I tutor. Now, she had to be like in the 5th grade, but I was in a younger grade than her, so I just looked at her as a big person, and okay, yeah, fine, I'll take your number. Took her number. And in this part of my life, I'm sorry for keep messing with my hair, but when I talk about stuff like that, it gets me nervous. So I had to touch and move my hand. I'm sorry. But at this particular time, you know, um, there was a situation in the household with my parent. And um, it was going on for a while and stuff like that. And at this particular time, I was lightweight kind of fed up. Not lightweight, I was fed up. But in the previous times of this situation, I would call the young lady who gave me her number just to tutor me on the situation, because I mentally couldn't handle what was going on, and I felt like I was in a cage of misery. You know what I mean? And so I was like, that's the only person I could reach out to. You know what I mean? So I kept constantly calling this young lady about this situation, and I was crying out to her for help. And she was a fifth grader. What could she really do? You know what I mean? And so this last particular time that the situation happened, I called her, and then her mom was on the phone, and she was like, "Could you please stop calling my daughter?" She said, "Call the police. Please stop calling. Please stop calling my daughter." And I called her once before, and I was on a block list, so it just kept going to the answer machine, and I didn't leave a message. I was just like, who do I go to about this situation? You know what I mean? So to sum up what the situation was, there was abuse in the situation. And at this particular time, that I was fed up, I had felt like I needed to do something about it. So in that act of abuse, um, I was trying to protect the person that I loved. So I end up being in the middle of the abuse. And I looked the abuser in the eye, and I'm like saying Jesus in my head, because I was always taught to pray, if anything. So that's what I did in my mind, though. I didn't say it out loud. I was just saying Jesus in my mind. So I'm saying Jesus in my mind, and I'm looking the abuser in the eye while covering the person that was being abused. And what was so funny is that the abuser was punching full force, but I never got hit. And that was so strange to me. And then I'm looking the abuser in the eye, and I see what kind of spirit this abuser had. And I'm just like saying it more, Jesus more, because I'm like, this gotta shake or something. I don't know. I already put myself in a situation. Something gotta change now, Lord. You know what I mean? So I'm just keep on saying it, keep on saying it, keep on saying it. And then I felt like I was getting stronger. Like, it's a spiritual thing. Like I said, it's a spiritual thing. The definition says it's a spiritual thing. It's uncommon. You cannot find this nowhere. So I'm just getting stronger, and I'm just saying it more. I end up whispering it as well. And me and the abuser is eye to eye. And so the abuser broke contact, and then looked at me again, and then broke contact, and then looked at me again, and eventually the abuser stopped in its tracks, though, like, not even look at me in eye to eye, but just stop punching. And so I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm winning. So I'm saying it more and more, and I feel like I was getting stronger and stronger. And after a while, the abuser moved from the area that we were and went out towards the door. And in the midst, my little brother got pushed, and then, you know, that was the end of it. You know what I mean? And so, what was the topping on the cake of that whole situation is how the person that was getting abused stared at me as if I was as if they were in shock. And then I realized it afterwards, like, what just happened? And like, it's just weird. It was just weird. And so I'm just like, I just start realizing like something is going on with me. And I think that that person realized that too. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, so how do I go about handling this? And that was something that wasn't told to me. I always knew to pray. I always knew to go to church. I always knew that you're supposed to shout in church, and I also knew you supposed to read the Bible. But no one went in depths about spirituality to me, because I guess I was too young. But every time I would express the visions that I had or the spirits that I see when I'm over individual houses, or I'm um, individual houses, or I'm at home and I'm seeing things and I'm just trying to express what's going on, I was kind of brushed off. So that made me feel even weird and isolated, because I did not know what was really going on with me. You know what I mean? And nobody is not explaining anything to me. So I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? And so it caused me to feel some type of way about myself, because it's like, am I weird? Look at all of this stuff that I'm enduring. I'm getting tortured by spirits because they know that I know that I'm doing stuff that is not like a child would do. You know what I'm saying? And it was this particular time, my brother was like, it wasn't nothing wrong that you were different. It was just the fact that you wasn't like a normal child like us. Cause I asked them like, why did y'all kind of? It wasn't like they was treating me different. It was just like they were upset at me because I wasn't a kid, and I'm just like, I don't know how to change this. And so I tried to change my identity in order to accommodate people around me, because every family member on both sides were saying I was weird, something is strange about me and stuff like that. And so I'm just like, you know, what do you want me to do? Um, I can say on my dad's side of the family, because they are spiritual, they did, acknowledge the spirituality part of me. But again, they still didn't describe to me what was going on with me. They knew what it was, but didn't describe to me. So I felt as if they really still didn't understand me, because if you understand, why didn't you break it down at that moment? So anyways, to go on, I'm going to give you guys some more examples of how I was more aware of spirituality growing up. So there was this one particular time I was in my room, and I always pray before I go to bed. And so this particular time I was praying, and then I was praying, and then the Lord showed me that my dad was in trouble. And the act that he was doing was gambling. And he ended up like losing, and then he stole the money and ran. And again, I'm not trying to make this as if he was a bad person. It's just an example of how I was different. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. That if you watching, I hope it don't offend you for what I'm saying. But anywho, this was my dream. I dreamed that he was gambling. He stole the money and ran, and he came to um our house, and he was knocking on all the doors that was at our houses, and at our house, and he was screaming my mom name, like, open the door, open the door. And you know what I'm saying? So he was doing that in the dream. Okay, so the dream goes over 2 seconds later, not 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 seconds later after having that dream, my or vision, one or the other, my dad did exactly what I dreamed. And I heard it, but I thought I was tripping at first. Like, that can't be my daddy. I just dreamed this. This can't be real. You know what I mean? And then I eventually go out of my room and go into the front room. And I asked my mom, like, is that my daddy? And she said, she didn't say nothing at first. It was like she was in a battle to say yes or no. But then she eventually just said no. And I said, I know that was him. But I just didn't want to disrespect her by going out there and trying to get him. So I just went back to my room and I started to pray for him that he make it safely to his house. You know what I'm saying? And he did. And I was just like, see, this is what I'm talking about, God. Like, all of this stuff you're putting on me, but nobody's telling me what is really going on. So after that situation, there was another situation, and this is the last situation I'm going to describe to you guys. But there was another situation, or maybe two. I'm gonna make it quick. So there was another situation. I went to school, came home, did my homework, and went to sleep. After I had went to sleep, I woke up after some hours, looked around and seen that there was no one at home. So I'm like, oh my God, they left me. So I go around the whole house and look. I even go upstairs, which um, my family member lived upstairs. So I go upstairs, knock on the door. They didn't answer. So I'm like, oh, everybody left me. I'm in the house by myself. What if they have forgot about me? I'm just thinking all crazy. So then I goes and open the door and goes on the porch. And I see my siblings down the street. And back in the day, if the street lights was on, you're supposed to be on the porch or inside the house. So I'm like, oh man, let me go down here, get my siblings and tell them, come on, cause I think my mom was at work at the moment, and so I didn't want her to find them outside, off the porch, or even not in the house. So I'm like, let me go get them real quick. So I run, I go down the stairs, and there was someone calling me. So I thought, and it was in the male voice, and I thought it was the young lady. It was a lady who has a husband. They always let me watch their kids because I was like the neighborhood babysitter and the neighborhood hairdresser. So I thought it was him. And so I seen the car, and I'm looking in that direction because I'm thinking it's coming from that car because I didn't see anybody else but that car. And I seen the man in the car. So I'm like, okay, let me go to the car and see if this the man. So I go in the middle of the street, and I look inside the car, but it wasn't the husband. So I'm like, well, maybe he's on the other side. So I go on the other side. I look in the car. Like, I'm really close to the car, looking inside, trying to figure out if it's this woman's husband. And it wasn't. And the man grabs one of my arm, and then the man in the back seat grabs the other arm. And he pulls me, and they pulling me at the same time. But the doors was closed. I think the back one was cracked or whatever. But they both were just like sitting, pulling me in, like, and I'm kicking the car, and I'm kicking the car, and I'm kicking the car. I put a dent in that car, but they eventually let me go. I fall, I run to where everyone is at. I go and tell them, like, yo, somebody just tried to take me. And that's all I could get out. I'm like, they just tried to take me. They just tried to take me. So everybody like, where they at? Hyped up. And I'm pointing, and there's no one there. So they thought I was lying or hallucinating, and it made me feel some type of way because I know that incident happened, but I couldn't verify it because I was totally, gone or whatever. I mean, they were totally gone. So I'm just like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Now I'm feeling even more insecure about me because now nobody believes what is going on with me. Like, it just was making me frustrated. And so, you guys, I ran out of time, so I have to like sum it up. But my conclusion from the whole situation, as you can tell, is that God has always been working with me from the beginning, and it was up to God to reveal it to me in a way. And at the age that I am now, um, I still kind of have that insecurity because it has been times when I told people what the Lord said and they rejected it, and it's been times where you know I had visions and I'm trying to figure it out and I didn't really quite get it. I even had visions about my own life. I visioned I was going to have a daughter. I visioned the people that was going to portray me within the whole pregnancy thing. I visioned all of that before it even happened. But I thought it was going to be somebody else and not me, because I knew that there was protection inside the whole situation. But, I guess things happen. Okay. But anyways, just to sum it up again, um, um, you know, don't look at your trials or tribulations as negative. It's going to be a time where it's going to be revealed to you, and you're going to know exactly why you had to go through the things you go through, to know, like, even in the weirdest times, that's the most times you will be aware of your spirituality, or uh, who you really are. You know what I'm saying? The best example I did was when I said about about me um, in school, and then a girl wanted to fight me. I think that was the best example to show that what's in you is in you. Don't fight it. Don't cry about it. Don't make excuses for it. It is what it is. And live life in your truth. I wish a lot of people would stop hiding behind who they think they should be, and be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because then you allow yourself to grow. You get stagnated when you don't. Or you can hide it but so long, and then it'll eventually show up again. Or it'll show up in your children, and you're like, why is they doing the same thing I'm doing? I'm trying to fight against that. It's because you never deal with it. I know a lot of people who say, like, um, everything that you go through is show on your face. And I'm like, I'm not a hider. That's just like who I am. If something is wrong with me, I'm not calling out for help. I'm just being who I am. It's something that's going on with me. And I'm the type of person, I like to get answers. So if I gotta look like a stupid person and ask stupid questions and look stupid and have people talk about me, I don't care about that. What I need is what I need. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mentality I had to grow into. I am who I am. If I need help, I'm going to ask for it. Whether you say what you say or whatever. You know what I mean? I have to do what I need to do to get what I need for me. And that's what I want to leave you with. That is my conclusion. I hope I help somebody out there. If you want a part two, I know I got 4 hands up, but if you want a part 2, comment below. That is my time. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.